Welcome back to the LarryB YouTube channel. So I made a tutorial on how to do this using pattern, but you all asked that I make a tutorial on it using freehand. So this is a tutorial on how you can make this beautiful bubu dress using a freehand method. I'm going to take you through how to cut and sew this in this tutorial. So if you would like to learn this, kindly stay tuned and you're going to see how I did it. And also, if you like a tutorial on how I made the turban that I paired this with, let me know in the comment section and I'm going to film a tutorial on how to make the turban as well. So I made a tutorial on how to do this with free pattern, but a lot of people ask for the freehand version, so I'm going to be teaching you how to do this in freehand. So what I'm doing here now is drafting the bodice. It's a back's bodice. So here the shoulder is 7.5, but I'm using 6 inches and quarter, so I'm marking that on my shoulder on my waistline. Then you're going to make that into a straight line. After that, you're going to connect it to your backs. For the backs, I went down by 4 inches for my shoulder. So for my neckline, I did 3 inches by 1 inch for the back, and then I marked what I have there, which is 3.5. So for the front neckline, I'm using 7 inches, as you can see, and then I connected it upwards. So you extend your connection so that you can include the 3.5 inches that we marked for the front neckline there, and then you're going to mark how wide you want the collar to be. For me, I'm using 2.5 inches, so on that point you're going to connect it to your neckline in a curve like that. So that is what your front neckline is going to look like, and then you're going to grab your scissors and cut it out. There's a separate tutorial on how to do this neckline, so if you don't understand, you can go ahead and check that tutorial out. So once you cut it out, this is what you're going to have. So you measure what you have from your waistline, that's 15. You multiply that by 2.5 and do the same thing on the back and multiply by 2. Okay, so now the next thing is to cut it on our fabric. Remember, we are cutting directly on our fabric. So remember, we measured this part. So this part is 15 inches multiplied by 2.5, depending on how full you want it to be. So 2.5, 2.5 or 3 inches is okay. So when I measured mine, I have 15 inches, I multiplied by 2.5 and I have 37 point something, so I approximate to 38. And then the back area as well, I measured it and I have 7.5. I multiplied that by 2.5 as well. I had 18 point something, so I approximate to 19 inches. So these two are very important. Now the next thing is to bring in your fabric. I'm using a raw silk fabric, so I'm going to fold this by the length. Remember, this is the length, not the yard. I have about 5 yards here, but this is the length, okay? And raw silk is by 60. So if you fold it into two like this, you are going to have 30 inches. So that is what I'm going to use to fold this, and then I'll start taking my measurements from there. I'm going to start from the back. This will not have a shoulder seam, okay? So remember that I said I have 5 yards, so it's enough to cover for my front and back length. So we are going to start by measuring the back first. So the back, for my length is 60 inches. I'm going to add 2 inches allowance for hemming, so that's going to give me 62 inches. So from here now, I'm going to go ahead and mark 62. So now that I have gone ahead to mark it, this is my shoulder point. You can see here is my shoulder point. So all of here, from this shoulder to the hem here, is 62 inches. My table is small, so all this part is going to be the back, while this side is going to be the front. We are not going to have a shoulder joining, so we are not going to be cutting through the shoulder. So just watch carefully what I'm doing. So after getting your shoulder point, this is going to be your center back. So on that part, you are going to mark your neck width on this shoulder point. So your neck width now is 3 inches. Remember, we use 3 inches. So this is 3 inches here, and the depth is 1 inch for the back. You are going to connect it, but for allowance, so that I can sew it, I'm going to be adding half an inch allowance. So that is just like marking 2.5 inches because of the allowance, but I'm still going to maintain this depth of 1 inch. So this is where I'm going to be cutting it. I hope you understand it. Remember, this part is the back, while this part is the front. So now for the front, the width that you used for your shoulder when we're drafting on the paper, remember we use 6.5, 6.25. So that 6.25 now is what I'm marking here. I'm marking 6.25 all around like this. So you can either do that or you just place your paper there to be sure that you are marking it where you are supposed to be marking. So this part that is still straight, you're going to use that as your reference point. You can see that my marking is accurate. So now this marking that you are marking, you need to mark it to contain the 15 times 2.5 that we did. That's 38 inches. That's for the straight part of the. So here, 6.25 all through, and then when I get to the end, I'm going to mark it and be sure that I have 38 inches. So I have 38 inches there. So that is going to be what I'm going to gather to fit back into these bodies. That's for this. Then the next thing is to treat the back area, which is this slanted part. So for that slanted part now, we mark 7.5. That 7.5, multiply it by 2.5, and we have 19 inches. So now you are going to shift your fabric again like this, and where you stopped, remember this is where the one for the straight, that 38 inches stop. The next thing now is to mark for the back, which is 19 inches. So when you are marking for the back, remember it is V, it is slanted. So you are going to place your tape rule like this in a slanted form. So wherever it is that you have 19 inches, that's where you are going to stop. I hope you understand that. So now I'm just going to mark the 19 inches. I just shifted this upward so that you can see. So 19 inches stops here. So I'm going to mark it. So once you mark it, you are going to take your ruler and then you connect it. So my ruler cannot take it all at once. So I'm just going to mark a dash line here, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect. So you can see now that we have successfully added volume to the straight 15 inches part, and then we have done the same thing to the back, which is 19 inches. Okay, so that is all we need to do. So now the next thing is to complete the length for the front. So to complete the length for the front, you will note the length that you used for your to get your basque. Remember we had 15 inches and then we added 4 inches extra. That's 19 inches. That's the length we have for the bodies. So which means this V part that we have, that's it stops at 19 inches. This part stops at 19 inches, and our full length is 62 inches. So what you need to do now is to place 19 inches on that point where it stops, and then you complete your 62 inches measurement for the front. So that way you'll be able to cut out your front measurement. So I have 62 inches here. I'm going to take my ruler and then I'm going to rule out 62 inches like this. So this 62 inches is the length for my front. The rest that I have, I can easily cut it out. I'm just arranging it well. Make sure you arrange well before you cut. So now this is where the length for the front stops. I'll cut it out. So now I'm going to grab my scissors and then I'll cut this part out. So you can use this part to cut out your bodies. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut out what I have marked. So this V shape that I have marked here, make sure that you align them well. You can pin it if it's shaking. So here I'm going to cut my neckline. Remember I said I'm cutting on this 2.5 inches. So this is my neckline for the back. For the front, I'm going to cut the shoulder up to where the shoulder stops, which is here. Remember there is no seam. So from there you are going to go ahead and cut your straight together with the back. Okay, so back started. Remember we have 38 inches straight and then we have 19. So at that point where your back is going to start, you are going to place a notch there so that when you are sewing the notch is going to be a guide for you. So now this is what we have. So what this means is that these bodies now, remember this is your shoulder, so all of these bodies, you are going to gather it to fit into, you are going to pleat it to fit into these bodies, these 15 inches. And then for the back where your notch is, you are going to gather that as well to fit into the 7.5. You are going to gather all the 19 inches to fit. So this is what you are going to have. You can see all those volume that we have there. So now on this part, because of these sharp points, you need to place a notch there so that you'll be able to sew the bodies and then still sew your collar to the shoulder. So for that, I'm just going to place a small notch, like a 1/4 inch on that part, so that it can open up for us like this. So once all of that is taken care of, the next thing now is to do the bodies. But you can see that the back is the only one that still have our 62 inches length, which is the normal length. The front length is longer because of the added fullness that we are doing. So we are going to be using the back as the pattern to cut the front. So now I'm going to be laying my back on the table. This is the shoulder point here. You can see the shoulder point, and this is the 62 inches, which is the rest of the bodies. So what you are going to do, you are going to come to the side. This is the side. This is the center fold. This is the side. You are going to come to the side of the back, and then from the shoulder, you are going to mark between 15 to 20 inches for your sleeve opening. Remember, you are going to gather it with elastic. So here, from here, I'm going to come down by 18 inches for my opening, for my elastic opening. Then on that point, to create channel for the elastic for folding, I'm going to mark 2 inches inwards like this. Okay. So the first tutorial that I did a straight style. So for this one, I'm going to be doing a cowl effect. So for my cowl effect, from my shoulder, I'm going to mark, you can mark your knee length. Okay, you can mark your knee length, you can mark your a little bit above your knee. So my knee is 41, so I'm going to leave it at around 38. That's like coming up by 3 inches from my knee length. Or you can leave it at 39 by coming up by 2 inches. So you are going to mark that point. Okay, so on that point now, I'm going to take my hip measurement divided by 4. The hip I'm working with is 46. 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. Okay, so from the center fold here, I'm going to mark 11.5 that way. So for freeness, depending on how free you want it to be, you can add between 5 to 8 inches to your 11.5. So I'm just going to add around 7 inches to that, and you are going to mark what you have all together. So all together, I have 19 inches. I'm going to go over to your hem and mark the same 19 inches on the hem, and then you are going to make that into a straight line as well with your ruler. If you have watched my tutorials on Bubu, you know how to create a cowl effect by now. So once you have that, you can see where this stops, and you can see where your sleeve opening stops. So the next thing now is to connect them together like this. So all this excess that you have here is what you are going to use to form your cowl. Okay, everything that you have here is what you are going to use to form your cowl effect. Just make sure that it is not tight. So remember, I said you are going to be using the back as a pattern for the front. So what you are going to do now is to put it on fold. You are going to bring the hem of the front like this, and then you are going to lay the front and back on each other. So you can see this is the hem of the front where we cut it out when we measure the 62 inches. You are going to match it to the hem of the back, and then you are going to lay them against each other so that you can cut them out together like this. You are going to arrange it well. For me to be able to cut it out easily, I'm going to turn it to this side where my hand can easily reach it and cut. So you can see the shape that we have here. This is where the sleeve stops, the sleeve opening. You can see the 18 inches. This is where it stops, and then from there, from the shoulder, we came down to our knee length, and then on the knee length, we measured quarter of our hip plus extra 6 or 7 inches, and then from there, you take that measurement all the way to the hem. Okay, so from there now we now curved our hand to form our cow effect. So the next thing now is to take your scissors and cut out this shape. So because the front and back are folded together, you can see we have 1 2 3 4 folds. That way you have successfully shaped both front and back. So for the bodice, I've gone ahead to cut my bodice and I added that 1 inch allowance all around. So where your neckline stop, that's your neck depth. You are going to place a notch there. So for this, I'm using this sequin fabric for my face, for my main fabric, and I'm using the same fabric we use for the lower part. That's the silk for the lower part as my lining. So I have two sequin. So this favorite sequin is very stretchy, so I used my stay to stabilize it. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine now, and then you're going to sew from where you notched. You're going to sew all the way down. You're going to do the same thing for the lining as well. So after that, we're going to open it up and use it to turn out each other. So I've gone ahead to turn it, as you can see. So you're going to iron it well so that it can lay flat. The next thing is to sew together the collar at the back. So you're going to sew it in such a way that the rough edge is going to be inside. So you're going to open the collar up, right side facing right side and the wrong side on the wrong side. Or you can just fold it to the back like you're sewing your shoulder. So when you sew it and you turn it out, this is what you're going to have. You can see that it is neat both in and out, and this is what the collar looks like now. So now you're going to bring in the bodies and then you're going to spread it on it. So what you just need to do is to remember we created notches on the important points. So the first thing to do is just to start matching your notches together. So for the one where the back starts, you're going to match the notch and then you're going to hold it with your pin. Then you look for the shoulder. Remember, for the shoulder we opened this at the corner, so you're going to match that to the shoulder of your bodice as well, and then you're going to pin it down. So once you do this, it will be easy for you to sew when you get to your sewing machine. So that V shape that you have on your basque, you are going to match that one as well, and then you are going to place a pin on that part, and then you go to the other side. The same thing you did for this side, you look for your notches and then you match them up. So once you have matched all this notch up, you are going to take it to your sewing machine and then you start to gather it or pleat. So you are going to pleat everything to fit in back to the original measurement that you started with. So I'm going to go over to the machine now. Just watch how I'm pleating it and you get it. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it and you can see how I sew. So what you just need to do is to gather them back to its original shape. Remember, this place is 15, multiply by 2.5 to get 38. So we gather the 38 back to 15. The same thing for this side. For the basket it was 7.5, we multiply by 2.5 to get 19. So we gather the 19 back to the 7.5, just like this. Okay, so the neckline is still open, we have yet to close that. So once you turn it to the right side, this is what you are going to have. Okay, you can see all those fullness that you have there. So if you want yours to be more than this, you can multiply by 3, and if you don't want it to be this much, you can multiply by 2. So now the next thing now is to match your neckline together and then you're going to sew. So you can use your needle, your pin, to hold it first before you sew, or you can just sew it directly. Whichever one you want is fine. I've gone ahead to sew the neckline to the back, and this is what we have. So now when you turn it, this is what it looks like. You can see now everything is sewn in to the bodice. Okay, and your shoulder is still together. There's no seam on the shoulder. So this is what we have. So the inner part now, you're going to go ahead and weave all the rough edge that you have on the inside. So now what I'm going to do now is to fix my inner belt. Remember, it's going to be fitted in front. So there's a belt to gather it in front. So I've created the two belts. I've turned it, so you go ahead and iron your belt, and then you just fix it to just where your basque is. You can leave maybe half an inch where the basque is. You are going to place it like this and fix. Remember, we're going to be tying it towards the body like this. So I'm going to run a stitch here. We are going to do the same thing for the other one. We're going to place it like this and fix, so that you can tie them together. So I've gone ahead to fix the belt. You can see, so the belt is fixed now. So all you just need to do when you wear it is to tie the belt around your body, so that it can give you that snatch effect. So now the next thing to do is to hem the sleeve area. Remember that we measured 18 inches downward from the shoulder. This is the shoulder. I notched it for the back. We measured 18 inches downward, and then we came in like this by 2 inches, so that we can create casing. So you are going to fold it. This is cervix, that's why I did not fold twice. You are going to fold it in so that you can create allowance for your elastic. So for the front, for the back, is going to maintain the 18 inches. For the front, it's going to be longer because of the excess that we used to gather all of this. So your elastic is what is going to gather everything for you. So that's for the left side. For the right side, I've also folded it in. The next thing is to pass my elastic. So I'm using this tiny elastic. So to do that, where the sleeve is going to be, I'm going to measure around that place, and then you can deduct 2 inches of it, depending on how fitted you want it to be. I have 13 inches here. I'm going to remove 2 inches, and then I have 11 inches. So from your elastic now, you are going to mark out 11 inches and then pass it through that channel. So here I'm marking my 11 inches. I need 2 of that, so I'm going to put it on fold, and then I'm going to cut it out from the elastic. So once you cut it, you divide it into 2, and then you're going to pass it around the space that you have. So I'm going to be using my safety pin to do that. So I've gone ahead to add the elastic. You can see the elastic has gathered it and is now smaller. So this is what I have. So this is it for the second side as well. It has gathered it. So the last thing to do now is to take the side together. The side is going to rhyme. Remember, we used the back as template to cut it. So you are going to go ahead and sew it by this side. So once you place it now, you are going to sew from here and sew all the way, and then you are going to be opening a slit here. So for your slit, you can use between 15 to 18 inches. So you measure that, you remove your seam allowance, then you measure the 15 inches. So you can notch that place. So you are going to sew and stop there, and then you are going to fold it in and open a slit. Then you are going to hem the lower part, and your dress will be ready. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So I've gone ahead to sew it. So you just need to join it by the side, and then you're going to hem it on the lower part. So when you hem it, you open slits on the 2 sides, especially if you did not add enough extra inches to your hip measurement. Mine, I added enough, so it's still big enough for me. But if it is not enough, it means it's not going to be very easy to work. So you need to open slit on that side. So this is what it looks like. You're going to tie the inner belt so that you have it fitted in front, and then the back is going to be free. You can see how easy it is to make this. I prefer this freehand method because with it you'll be able to have better fullness. With pattern, you may not be able to spread your fabric well to have all of this fullness, but with freehand you'll be able to increase your fullness as much as you want. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel. And if you like a tutorial on how I made the turban that I paired with it as well, let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to film a tutorial on it.